3 years, is depending on grants.
Yeah, I think, I agree, there's value to this, but I think we should wait until we have the grant. We should have
Well,
some-
yeah, that's, I say, put it in the 1 to 3 years, but apply for the grants and work with the accessibility committee. There's different things that they've asked for through the CNIB regarding where they are. Councillor Boss.
Yeah, I guess my issue with this type of thing with crosswalks and accessible pedestrian signals, I think it sends a message. What type of community do you have? What type of a caring? We talk about one of our values is caring. And so, you know, I guess it's tough luck if you're blind and you don't have, you know, but maybe if we get a grant one year, we'll put it in. I think you need to send a message to people in the community. We care about you. We care about you whether you're in a minority or whether you're in a majority or what. So we care about your safety. We're going to try and track people who are speeding. We're going to put in crosswalks. We're going to put in pedestrian passageways to connect communities so people can use pedestrian access to towns. I think that sends a message, and I think it's important.
Okay.
That's okay.
Councillor Scott and Councillor Cook.
There is a time limit on accessibility projects anyways. At a specific point, we have to have everything accessible, is that not correct? So this would be being proactive to have a light with, I think it's 2025, that they have to have things.
It's slightly goes in sequences for
Different
what.
stages for different.
But
municipality
eventually,
should set it
our
aside.
municipality will have to be accessible throughout because the laws are coming down and the years are getting shorter. So I think that that's a very proactive one. And I think the crosswalk issue that we've had going on with Marywood and with the other ones is also a very important issue. I don't think we can do all crosswalks in 1 year, but I do certainly think that we could slate one in for 1 year and one another year and one a year after that, and in that way all locations would eventually have one so that people have access to the pathways and walkways that are there.
Councillor Cook.
Well, without trying to say it shouldn't be a crosswalk, what are the pedestrian requirements for crosswalks? As opposed to just like traffic, obviously,
Well,
there's a ton of traffic, but
there's
pedestrian.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways you can do a crosswalk. I'm framing a future report in my mind, so I'll try and go through it. The council will need to make a decision whether you want like first controlled or an uncontrolled crosswalk. An uncontrolled crosswalk is just simply we would remove the sidewalk, make it accessible so people can cross, put up the pedestrian crossing signs and pass a bylaw, and then it's enforceable as a crossing. At an uncontrolled crosswalk, the onus is still on the pedestrian. The Highway Traffic Act still leaves the onus on the pedestrian to cross safely. There's no requirement for a vehicle to yield. At a controlled crossing, it's signalized in a certain way, and there's basically 2 ways to signalize. They refer to pedestrian crossovers, which are the traditional ones that you see with the orange signs and the X. In discussions with some traffic design engineers, they're telling me that those are becoming passé, but you don't necessarily have to meet the warrant criteria to put those in place. What you typically see is a municipality doing a full warrant review. You have to meet 200 pedestrians at a location moving for 10 seconds or longer, or 200 in an 8-hour period. And you can put up full signalization, which is your normal traffic signals that are normally green and on demand. My sense is if we were to undertake a full traffic study, we would probably find ourselves not warranted at the No Frills location, and the Oak Street one I think is up for question. So I think that you'll see us, if we want to go with a controlled crossing, we'll probably have to put in the pedestrian crossovers. They don't offer as much. In my mind, they're fairly, there's quite a bit of vehicle control there, but not as much as, it's not as recognizable as a normal, as a street light, but it's very good. So I guess the long and short of it is you don't have to meet the warrant criteria for a pedestrian crossover. It's just you notify, you design it, you submit it to the MTO, and they approve it along with your bylaws.
So these costs are for a full traffic
Yeah,
control?
this is a full signal. Either of the 2 signalized versions. This is that cost. Yeah, and that's based on a couple that happened locally.
Councillor?
So the one is like normal traffic lights, but the other one's the one where I push the button and the lights come on and flash?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm in Brampton a lot, and I'll tell you, on arterial roads with 4 lanes in rush hour in the summer, when a kid goes across to around my dad's place, when they go across in between 2 large streets, they put a crosswalk in last year for the purposes of what we talked about with Marywood's, right? And you should see them come into a halt. It's amazing how they back up, and one kid will go across the street and they work. They all seem to, so that's what we would have,
That's the one that we're able to establish on our own without the full warrant criteria.
That's excellent.
But that's a $60,000.
Yeah, either way, because you're still paying for providing power, putting up lights, and you have to, the MTO wants it a full design.
Councillor Barston?
Quick question. Connecting links, reasonable care that the municipality has to demonstrate. What does that mean?
Reasonable care.
Is that just keeping the pavement nice, or is that safety too?
It depends. As an engineer, my definition of reasonable care is if you believe there's an unsafe condition, you take all reasonable efforts to rectify that unsafe condition.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
So what do we decide?
We haven't decided.
Well,
Councillor Underwood?
well, based on that criteria, I think we've already identified a dangerous situation, specifically when it comes for crossing from the line in Grand Bend, and in fact all our intersections, but specifically the Grand Bend ones, are shocking. I mean, they are. They're shocking for anybody who has any sort of handicap when it comes to sight. So I think it's good for us to set the standard. To move ahead, I think it's important to at least get 2 of them, at least get Grand Bend on this next year or so.
Okay.
At the very least.
Okay, we'll work that in.
So just so I'm clear, for the accessible pedestrian signals, we want to leave it as we do all 4 if we get grant funding, and then we look at 2 if we don't, try and stagger it over 2 years.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
If you get enough from it.
The crosswalks. Deputy Mayor?
You seem to indicate that one may come earlier than the other one. Are you suggesting both of them be done the same year, these crosswalks, or staggered for cost?
I guess it just depends. It depends on where you see the need, the accident we had was very unfortunate, and it happened at the No Frills location, but it's probably arguable that the Oak Street location would be the busier of the 2. It's tough because you've had this accident at, like, at one location, yet the other location is probably busier.
Let's just put it in and then carry on, all right? Well, yeah, sure, of course. Why would we, we'll see what shakes out at the end of the day.
Okay. Sidewalks, Marywood sidewalk extension, there's $60,000 there. Councillor Russell?
Just a question, and starting we're just talking, is pricing for asphalt option presented?
Yeah.
So concrete wasn't, so conventional sidewalk, this would be the one.
Well, yeah, in my report, we put in, we presented both options, the asphalt, or the concrete option is $80,000.
Yeah, the report that we received left was at 80, and this is
So
asphalt 60.
I just made an educated guess that you might want it.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not.
I looked at the report and it said either or, road race trail style or concrete, and I picked the asphalt because it was
Okay.
more concrete.
Deputy Mayor Day?
Yes, I guess I'm just wondering what the need of the sidewalk extension is if we have 2 crosswalks over to the other side.
And the crosswalks that are listed here
You
aren't
can-
at the Marywood.
One crosswalk,
Up the road from there.
Yeah, you gotta get from Marywood to town, that's
One's at No Frills and one's at Oak Street.
oh, I thought it was gonna be at Marywood's.
Go to the Oak
Oh, it's
Street
gonna be Oak
location.
Street.
Mr. Mayor, if we identify safety, we can put these in, do we have to quibble now over every item? I mean, if we identify them as 1 to 3 or 5 to 10, or isn't that just what we're doing?
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and then see how it shakes out, but to quibble on whether we're gonna, for 10 minutes on whether we're gonna do this, let's put it in, let's identify